So hello, here we are again. This time we're looking at Enerpeel practical application with an Enerpeel Pyruvic acid. Our client today is already prepped, so they've got eye pads on, there's Vaseline protecting the lips, round the eyes, any particular areas of concern like raised moles and round the nasal flare. Pyruvic acid is an alpha keto acid and therefore is actually much more active than the hydroxy acids, and probably the next most active acid that you traditionally find in clinics as compared to a TCA. It's probably the next one down for that. The good thing about it is pyruvic acid is very good at slowing down oil production, so it's used for seborrhea. It's also used as an alternative to glycolic. It is much more skin remodeling, better at skin remodeling than a glycolic, but it has much less side effects and downtime. So we're going to apply the pyruvic today, and our clinician is just going to prepare the Enerpeel. You can see the Enerpeel in a minute, but this is a preparatory wipe. Now this is designed, it has some powerful ingredients that will remove any surface lipids that are lying in between the skin cells on the surface. It also helps to prepare the skin so that the Enerpeels can engage with the skin. Once that's done, they are quite sharp, so often you would tell the client to take a breath and hold it, and if they haven't got their eyes covered, you've covered it. You can see here the Enerpeel vial. Now this is an Enerpeel 50% pyruvic with the brush head. It's 2 ml of solution. Half of that solution is Enerpeel carrier, and the other half is pyruvic acid. There is an anti-reddening agent in there, an anti-erythema agent in there called MSM, which helps to suppress surface erythema as well. We're using these soft brush heads because the aim is we're not trying to introduce surface trauma, we're trying to minimise that. Because the Enerpeel carries the acids into the skin and then releases them, then they only activate once they're below the surface. Enerpeel is a carrier system. In the vial itself there is no water, so the acid is not live until it engages with water in the skin. The carriers actually hang on to the acids until they're well in the skin, so that you get maximum dermal activity, which is what we're looking for here, and minimal epidermal trauma. So we're more directly instigating a dermal response than we are an epidermal response. I'm having a few problems here with the iPads, but that's fine. Now you can see that the peel is on the skin. This is this gentleman's first peel. Now at 50% pyruvic acid, one layer would remain on the skin for 3 minutes. It's been on just over a minute now. The client, on a discomfort scale between 1 and 10, where 10 is very painful and 1 is really just slightly know something's on the skin. With the pyruvic acid in the first minute, the score should be negligible, maybe up to 3. Is that about right, Peter?
Yep.
And then some people would find that as you go up to the 3 minute, it will slowly increase, and you may be giving scores of 4, 5 or even 6. If in the first 3 minutes you find it's getting to 7, or you're actually seeing frosting, or the client is saying it's very uncomfortable, then you can neutralise it. Now with a pyruvic acid, it's a powerful peel. We always neutralise a pyruvic. So at 3 minutes or before, we will be neutralising it. Now if somebody's got a tougher skin, a thicker skin, or is more used to peels, then we may actually do a second layer, which is applied at 3 minutes and then goes for another 2 minutes. So 1 layer for 3 minutes, if necessary a second layer for another 2 minutes, and neutralise at 5. So we're just coming around to 2 minutes now. Scores on the doors, where are we at with the pain scores or discomfort scores?
Maybe a 4.
Maybe a 4. This is typical. Keep watching, the clinician should keep watching the skin, looking for erythema, gauging the client's response. We're not a great believer in using big wind fans to cool the skin, unless you were using something like high strength TCAs where you know you're going to get erythema, you know you're going to get frosting. We actually like to know what the client is feeling. So that's the reason why we don't normally recommend cool fans. Each of their own. So we're just coming round to 2 minutes now. Everything okay, Peter? We're still around 4. Has it gone up a bit?
Maybe a 5.
Maybe a 5. This is following a very typical pattern. Now, pyruvic acid is good for seborrhea. It's an alternative to salicylic acid in acne. If somebody's allergic to aspirin, you shouldn't use salicylic acid containing products, and pyruvic acid is a good alternative. Very good for skin tightening, good for skin remodeling, also good for pore refinement. So if people have got open pores, as they call them, on the nose, then you can use this as well. So a great all-round peel. Now we're now at 2.5 minutes, and we're getting ready probably for the neutralisation phase. Now when we do the neutralisation, we actually use a 12% arginine solution in a pad. Now arginine is an amino acid. We use that, it's an alkaline amino acid. We use that because we're able to attach the arginine also to the Enerpeel carriers. Now there's 3 mils of the arginine solution in this wipe. 10 seconds to go, and then we get ready for the neutralisation. So we're now at the 3-minute stage. So we're going to apply that in the same order, as in we applied it first, the peeler first to the forehead. So we're going to neutralise it there. Now because pyruvic acid is a keto acid and can react with oily skin, in some situations, not so much here, but particularly with oily skins, you can actually see almost puffs of smoke coming off the skin. I don't know whether we had any there,
yes,
but you sometimes can pick them up. It is something to be aware of, otherwise you might think, what's going on? That's because it's actually lifting the oil off the skin and turning it into a gas. So there is a chemical reaction between the pyruvic and the oil in the skin, and it's a bit like the fat pan getting hot. So the heat actually moves away from the skin. So to the client, it actually feels cooling, and the heat draws the oils away from the skin. So you're removing some of the oil and surface debris as you neutralise. Now the tingling sometimes goes up a little bit at this stage, but it should quieten down quite quickly. Is that happening, Peter? Is it fading?
Yeah.
Again, you can see the level of erythema is minimal, even with a 50% pyruvic, which is probably comparable to a 75 or 80% glycolic in its power. But because it's working in the skin rather than on the skin, then surface trauma is minimised. Once everything's neutralised, the Enerpeel carrier transporting the arginine in the skin, that means the arginine will neutralise the pyruvic, not just on the skin, but any pyruvic in the skin. Even with a TCA, our Enerpeel neutralisers can hunt down a TCA and neutralise it. So it's true you can stop a TCA, you don't just let it run its course. After the client, and you've checked that every area has been neutralised, so you've made sure you've covered the eyebrow area, in the hairline, around the nasal area, around the lips, make sure you've neutralised every area. Now with an Enerpeel, there's some carrier may be left on the surface. The peels go in, including the TCAs when you're doing those. So what we do afterwards, we like to just cleanse the skin with either saline or cool or warm water, so we can wash any carrier off the skin. Some companies, particularly TCA companies, suggest you don't wash the skin after a TCA. You can with an Enerpeel because we don't leave little crystals of TCA drying on the skin. So once that's done, that then forms a great base for us then to apply creams for post-procedural care. These are creams that suppress erythema, so they're anti-reddening. We use creams containing something called MSM, methyl sulfonyl-methane. We have products that improve barrier function because we will have thinned the skin by at least a half during this peel, and that may continue to reduce by maybe another third over the next 24 hours. It's very important we manage barrier function, and that includes transepidermal water loss, because water loss will accelerate from the skin. So we want to use post-treatment creams that bind moisture in the skin, that improve moisturisation. If you don't do that and skin water loss goes up, if somebody's prone to spots, they're very likely to have a breakout within 2, 3, 4 days of the peel, which in most cases they're not impressed by. But you can see now the client's quite happy, everything's back to normal, the skin is hydrated. We've put a high factor UV, UVA and UVB. Because we thin the skin, then it is quite likely that the skin is more sensitive to pigmentation. For further post-procedural care, please see other videos in the menu. Thank you.